Hi, it's Sandra from Red Rover. I want to go over something that is very common with a lot of dogs, and owners don't know what to do with it, and sometimes they're actually doing the wrong thing and making it worse, not because they want to, but just because they don't know what to do. And it seems like a good idea, and what I'm talking about is when a dog is afraid of something. So when a dog is afraid, for people, we console them. So a lot of people want to console their dogs. This is not going to help your dog in any way, shape, or form. So here's a very simple thing to remember. You get what you pet. So if you're trying to soothe or pet your dog or tell them it's okay when they're afraid of something, it's only going to make the matter worse. Okay, so that's the first rule. So what we want to do, ideally, is have the dog be calm and neutral around things. And we've talked about, getting them socialized, conditioning them to different sounds so things don't get them worried or upset. And despite everyone's best efforts, things can still happen. Something can cause your dog fear. So yesterday, Ruby exhibited her trigger. She was confronted with her trigger, which is the sound of certain things cooking. So now she's not afraid of things cooking, but there is a trigger, could be a smell, could be the sound of the sizzle, more likely the sizzle, and in certain contexts that puts her into tremendous fear. So now people are gonna go, oh, something bad really happened. Maybe she got splashed with oil or somebody beat her with a frying pan when things were cooking. No, none of this happened. You know why? Because we were there when it all transpired when she was a puppy. And what happened was that bacon would be sizzling really nice and high. My husband turns everything up really high, and the smoke alarm would go off. So, okay, so the smoke alarm's going off. That's all right. If it was just maybe a beep, 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 and we turned it off, that would be okay. But no, we had a speaking smoke alarm that would beep, and then it would yell fire, and then in French it would yell feu, and this would go on, and we'd be trying to turn the thing off. You couldn't turn it off, so it'd be flapping things, opening up the door, and this thing's still screaming at you. And this happened numerous times. So that is what Ruby is afraid of, this beeping of the smoke alarm and this fire, feu, flapping, frantic behavior that we were doing trying to get this thing to stop because we couldn't turn it off. So now, when she hears things sizzling, especially if it's bacon on a high sizzle, she becomes afraid. So her trigger is what is causing her the fear. The smoke alarm doesn't even come on. We've been working through this. So my point with this portion of what I'm talking about is it doesn't matter why the dog is afraid of this. If you've adopted a dog or you didn't see the whole thing transpire, you might go, well, but my dog's afraid of when I depress the toaster and the toast starts going. Nothing's ever happened with the toaster. That's probably true. Nothing has ever happened with the toaster. Nothing ever happened with Ruby in a frying pan and bacon. It's the smoke alarm. With the toaster, it could have been something else. It could have been a car backfiring outside. It could be anything. Maybe a broom fell over when the dog was a puppy and scared it when you turned the toaster on at the same time. That's the trigger for the dog now, is the toaster. So the solution is the same for everything. You're going to see the dog is triggered by something, and we're going to fix that. So how we started fixing it with Ruby is, first of all, the dog is going to run away and hide. So if you can't manage that, then just let them be. If you can't get them out of their hiding place, just let them be until they're done with their fear. But the beauty of this is that the dog is very predictable. So every time this particular scenario comes into play, the dog is going to be afraid. What you want to do is practice this. So you're going to put the dog on leash and you're going to create some distance. So let's talk about the toaster. All right, you're going to have the toaster in one room and the dog in another room and the dog on leash. You're going to depress the toaster, put some toast in there, have the dog start smelling it, but you're going to be further away. And while you're further away, you could be playing with the dog. If you're doing something else, but the dog's not going to run away from you. You're not going to tell it it's okay. You're not going to pet it. Then you're going to turn the toaster off and just carry on like nothing's happening. Eventually, you can just practice sitting there with the dog. The dog might be worried. It might be shaking. It probably won't take treats if it's really afraid. But you might get it to play ball. You could get a squeaker, a squeaky toy, a squeaky ball. Create more distance. If it's a sound that triggers it, play the sound in a further away room at a low level. And if the dog will take treats, you could do some scent luring. You could do some commands that the dog knows. Have it on leash so the dog doesn't run away. So in the video that I'm going to show you here, we've already worked with Ruby through these scenarios, and her thing that really helps her is tomatoes. She loves tomatoes. So I know that at this point, she's not that afraid that she's not going to come out for a tomato. So I've used tomatoes to lure her out of where she's hiding, and I use that to help her through this. So this is what you're going to see. What I want your takeaway to be on this is whatever the dog is afraid of, you have to work through it because it's going to come up. There are things that are going to happen in life and the dog will be afraid. It does not matter why it's afraid. It is not likely that it's going to be directly afraid of that particular thing because of, like, for example, the toaster, maybe the broom fell, a car backfired, whatever else it is, a sound, thunder, lightning, fireworks. These are all outside things that the dog is putting fear to. So if you act normally and you train your dog through these things, have the dog on leash so it's not running away and hiding, you can start getting through this. You can do it incrementally, you can practice it, and make it a fun thing for the dog. I'm going to show you what we do when you have a dog that's afraid of something. So Ruby has a trigger of when certain things are cooking that she becomes very afraid because the smoke alarm used to go off a lot when she was very, very little. And she still has that association. Now, we have worked through it. So her go-to thing right now is just when the appliance gets turned on or certain cooking things come on, she comes and hides in the bedroom. So she's actually not even shaking right now, but so we've gotten a little bit better. So what I'm gonna do, and this will only work if the dog is receptive, I'm gonna use something that she absolutely loves, which is tomatoes, I know. And it is this machine right now that's causing her the fear. So I just want her to get a new association with this. And like I said, this only works because we have been working on it already. And she loves tomatoes. So I have sliced them up. What's this, Ruby? Oh. So see how her attention has shifted. Come on, Ruby, let's go. Come on, let's go, honey. And I'm gonna bring her over here. So see, her entire being is changed. And we're gonna come right over here. Now you wouldn't do this right beside the object that's inducing the fear, but because we have been working with her, she is okay with it now because I'm feeding her her most beloved tomatoes. All right, so this is going on. The smoke alarm is not going off. So we want to practice it when the alarm is not going off. If you were doing this for the first time, you would do this at a greater distance. If your dog was not so afraid, if they're too afraid, they're not going to eat, right? So you can see now this offending object that would made her go and hide is no longer so bad because there are tomatoes right beside it. And all I'm doing is just feeding her. There we go, sorry about that. If she were really, really afraid, she would not be eating. She wouldn't even have come out. So I would, if she didn't want to come out, I would have her on a leash and collar first, and I would practice this by not letting her go and hide. We would set this up. We would go into another room potentially, turn this on, have her on a leash and collar in a room further away, possibly even with the door closed, because it's not just the sound, it's not just the object, it's also the smell. There's a lot of components coming in. You see, she's quite happy now. So I'm not going to feed her all of it. I'm just going to let that sit there for a bit, let her focus on that. And that's how we do it. So at first, you're going to be further. So Peter's opening it up now to stir it. More smells are coming out. So I'm going to give her another tomato. Okay? So if you're starting this on your own, you would do it further away with the dog on a leash and collar
And maybe it's playing ball, maybe it's not food. Maybe you could practice this outside with the offending, fear-inducing object. You could maybe record, if it's a smoke alarm, record the smoke alarm sound on your phone, or take a smoke alarm outside and push the button at a greater distance while the dog is doing something that it loves. In Ruby's case, eating the tomatoes. See? Much better. That's a good sizzle, Ruby. There you go. All right. I'm gonna give her one more, and then I'll let her just do whatever she needs to do. And if I need to, I'll pull the tomatoes out again, and we'll practice it some more. All right, that's how we do it. And is it perfect? No, not yet, but she's certainly not afraid right now. That's the goal, to get them over the fear by giving them a different association with the thing that triggered the fear to start with. That's yummy. So this is just a few minutes later. The machine is still on, it's still cooking away, and I have put the lovely tomatoes away in the cupboard, so I didn't use it all, but I have some more on hand. The door is open to where Ruby chooses to hide when this is happening. And she instead now is in the same area on the couch. We don't mind if she's on the couch because she will get off, it's not a big deal. And just over there is where the cooking is happening. So we've shifted her perception, and we'll probably have to do this over and over again. She's a little bit fearful. I don't know if you can see, she is shaking a little bit. It's just shaking a little bit. You can see she's got a little tremor going, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring the tomatoes out and do it again. But if they're just shaking and still in the area and not running and hiding and trying to flee, let them process through that, okay? So you don't want to pet her when she's in this mind frame. You don't want to soothe her, because it's not going to soothe her. It's only going to make it worse. I'm going to break this pattern by getting her out of it, by showing her the tomato because that works, and then I'm going to feed her. I'm not going to reward this because I'm going to stop it first. Excellent. Is right beside it, and all I'm doing is just feeding her.